If you ever taste her food, you will never forget the smell, the taste, or the way it makes you dream strange dreams at night. People say her food can heal the sick, make a sad man smile, and even bring an end to your troubles. But what no one knows is that before dawn, each day, she carries a bucket of water to a graveyard and leaves it there, alone, at 2 a.m. every single night.
In a small village, where the sun was always hot, there lived a woman named Ada. She had a small wooden table, 2 pots, and a dream to cook food and to sell to hungry villagers just to make a living. Ada wasn't rich. In fact, she was very poor. Her small hot house had holes in the roof, and sometimes she had to choose between eating dinner or buying firewood for the next day. She cooked under a mango tree by the roadside, mostly beans and rice, and if she was lucky, some dry leaf to make the soup sweet. But still, very few people came. "Your food is not special," one woman told her. "There are better places to eat," another man shouted as he passed by. Ada cried that night. She didn't cry because of hunger. She cried because her food came from her heart, and nobody wanted it. One day, as she was packing an empty pot with no money in her hand, an old woman approached her. Her eyes were sharp, too sharp for someone that old. The woman looked at Ada and said in a low voice, "You want your food to be sweet, eh?" Ada nodded slowly. The old woman said, "From tonight, you will not just cook. You will prepare a bucket of clean water, the same water you use for cooking. And at exactly 2 a.m., you will take that water to the village cemetery. Leave it there till the next night, then use it to cook." Ada looked confused. Why the cemetery?" The old woman smiled with her cracked lips. "Some spirits are hungry. Feed them, and they will bring others to feed you." And with that, the woman turned and disappeared into the night. Ada didn't sleep that night. She sat, stared at her cooking pot, then at the empty water bucket. By 1:45, something inside her, maybe hunger, maybe desperation, pushed her to her feet. She filled the bucket with fresh water from the well, whispered a prayer, and carried it on her head to the old cemetery at the edge of the village. She dropped the bucket at the foot of her nameless grave, turned around, and ran back home without looking back. The next morning, she went back to carry the bucket of water, use it to make her usual yam porridge. And something strange happened. Before she could even finish setting up the wooden table, the aroma of the food made people started coming. "Madam, give me 2 plates. Please add extra pepper." "I don't know why, but this woman's food smells great." They licked their plate clean. Some came back twice, some 3 times. And at the end of the day, for the first time ever, Ada counted 20,300 naira in her hand. Her hands shook. Her heart beat fast. Was it a coincidence? She decided to try again. That night, at 2 a.m., she carried a fresh bucket of clean water and walked again to the cemetery. And again, the next day, her food finished before noon. People began to talk. Whispers spread across the village like fire on dry grass. "Have you tasted Ada's food? It's like heaven inside a bowl." And so it began. Soon, The once forgotten woman under the mango tree became the heartbeat of Karo village. Her small wooden table has now expanded into a nice, beautiful restaurant. She added more varieties of food to her cook, and every single day, people lined up before she even arrived. Men brought their wives, mother brought their crying children. Even the kings and village chiefs bought food from her restaurant. But still, no one knew the truth. No one knew that at exactly 2 a.m. every single night, Ada walked barefoot into the cold darkness, carrying that same bucket of cooking water to the old quiet cemetery. It became her secret, her ritual, her offering. She never missed a night, not even when it rained, not even when her legs hurt. Sometimes she would whisper to the grave as she dropped the bucket, "Thank you, I brought more water." And each morning, when she returned to cook with that same water, something new would happen. One day, the aroma from her food made people walking outside the village stop to ask, "What's that smell?" Even Ada began to feel strange. Her skin glowed brighter. Her voice became sweeter. Her energy never ran out. Her food didn't just fill stomachs, it filled souls. But deep inside her, Ada began to feel something else too. She began to dream. Dreams of the cemetery. Dreams of people she had never met, dressed in white, sitting around her food stand, whispering, "Don't stop feeding us." One night, she saw herself in the dream, sitting at the cemetery, and the bucket she usually dropped was floating above the ground. From the shadow, she heard a voice whisper softly, Soon, the real payment will come. Ada woke up sweating. Her bed sheets were wet. Her eyes wide open. She couldn't understand it. But the next morning, the customers doubled. News had spread beyond Karo. People from the next village, the next town, and even from the city began to drive into Karo just to taste Ada's magic food. A blogger from the city called her the village chef with healing hands. A rich man even offered to help her open another branch in the city, but Ada refused. No, she smiled, then said within her, "The food must stay here, where the water sleeps." Now, she had workers, assistants. Money flowed like palm wine during a festival. She bought lands. She built a luxurious restaurant. She bought a black SUV. Yet, every night, quietly, barefoot and alone, Ada still carried her bucket to the cemetery. No one ever saw her. For 2 years, people wondered how Ada's food tasted like nothing they had ever eaten before. Her stew was not just spicy, it was spiritually sweet. Her jollof rice smelled like roasted joy. Her egusi soup tasted like childhood memories and comfort. People who had never believed in magic now whispered behind her back, "She's not normal. That food is from the gods. Maybe it's juju. Because how can you explain why it's addictive and people no longer eat homemade meals in the village again?" But Ada kept smiling. She served with grace, laughed with kindness, and paid school fees for the poor. Still, the question grew louder, especially in the heart of a man named Kene, a 35-year-old who used to be her childhood friend. Kenan had always liked Ada, even when she had nothing. But now, he couldn't shake the feeling that something dark was behind her sudden global rise. One night, while drinking palm wine with his friends, he said, "I will find out what she's hiding." The others laughed and warned him to mind his business. But Kene had made up his mind. At exactly 12 a.m., he hid outside her gate, watching. The village was silent. Even the crickets were quiet. The moon was half dead in the sky. And then, by 1:45, she came out. She wore a purple gown and a scarf on her head and held a big bucket full of water. No torchlight, no sleepers. She walked slowly, like someone in a trance. Kenneth followed her from a distance, careful not to make a sound. He tiptoed behind trees, ducked into the bushes, and held his breath when she paused to listen. Then, she reached the cemetery gate. Kenneth crawled low. His heart was beating so loud. He thought Ada would hear it. She walked deep into the cemetery, straight to a particular corner, where the oldest grave laid. Graves without names. There, she bent down and carefully placed the bucket on the ground. And then, she began to speak, but not with her mouth. Her lips didn't move. Kenneth watched in shock as the wind picked up, even though the tree stood still. And in that moment, he saw shadows. Not one, not two, but many figures, white and grey, standing around the bucket. Their faces were blurry, but they all turned slowly towards Ada, and then to Kenneth. Kenneth froze. A sharp pain stabbed his chest, like an invisible hand had gripped his heart. He wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Then, one of the shadows moved. It floated fast, too fast, straight towards him. He turned and ran without looking back, through thorns, mud, and fear. His legs twisted, his shirt torn. But he didn't stop until he reached his compound, panting and shaking. He didn't sleep that night, and the next morning, when he woke up, his tongue was swollen. He couldn't talk. He couldn't explain. But he knew. Some secrets are not meant to be followed. Some buckets are not meant to be seen. And yet, that very day, other restaurants was fuller than ever. A bus from the city brought visitors, journalists, tourists. They all came to Karo just to eat her food. They smiled, they laughed, but as they left, they all felt the same thing. A strange sweet sadness in their heart, as if they had eaten something that didn't belong to this world. What happens when the taste begins to haunt dreams? What price would Ada pay for feeding the unseen? Stay tuned for part 2. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and help us grow this amazing storytelling community. Don't forget to subscribe to Jessica's Chronicles